Donegan.
Thanks very much, Graham, and good morning, everyone. Well, as part of grand final celebrations around Melbourne today, this morning we visited the World Trade Centre, where about 500 or so loyal Fitzroy supporters gathered for the 1984 grand final breakfast. It was a great atmosphere this morning, and there were some very familiar faces. One familiar face here on Channel 7 is John Orchik, but he was sporting a new look, as you can see. There was also Fitzroy coach Robbie Walsh, who did such a marvellous job of taking the side into the five with that last-minute burst in the final stages of the season. Mickey Conlon was here enjoying the festivities, and the large crowd was entertained by a number of people, amongst them a loyal Fitzroy supporter in Johnny Chester. Former President Keith Weigard also joined the celebrations, and he was handing over to the General Manager of 3AW, Mr. Brian White, who was here at his first official function as the new chairman of the Fitzroy Football Club. On the menu this morning, of course, there was orange juice, sausages, chops, but the main thing on the menu was a Fitzroy premiership in 1985. And the man hoping to guide Fitzroy to that premiership in 85 is the new president, Brian White. Brian, first of all, congratulations on the appointment. You must be delighted with the roll-up this morning.
We've had actually 2 very good days of roll-ups to Fitzroy functions, Peter. We had a lunch yesterday, plus this brunch today, and so we're very delighted, yeah.
Getting back to the performances of 84, it really was a Herculean performance by the side to get into the 5. You must have been very encouraged by that performance looking towards next year.
Well, you could say that the whole of the last 2 seasons have been practice for next year. We've yet to crack a final in the last couple of years, but I'm quite sure that that little bit of extra experience that the boys have got each of these last 2 seasons is going to turn them in good stead. I think the way they played to get into the 5 is going to be something that supporters of this club will remember for a long time. That last round where they had everything working against them, but they still cracked them. I think it probably took an awful lot out of them, mentally as well as physically, which is probably why we didn't get through past that first of the finals. But next year I feel quite confident it's going to be a different story.
Brian, you were saying that you had one very special qualification in becoming the chairman of the Fitzroy Football Club.
Yeah, I'm the only guy that's shorter than Bradley Gotch in the whole team. At least I think I am.
Now, Brian, as an ex-Sydney sider, being part of Grand Final Day 1984, how does the atmosphere around Melbourne strike you?
Oh, it is. It really is totally different, Peter. I've been to many rugby league grand finals over the years in Sydney, although I must admit it's about 15 years since I went to one. Rugby league had lost its attractions for me before I came to Melbourne, and I must say the very first game I ever saw here was a grand final, and I just couldn't believe it. And that sort of sensation has stayed with me ever since. I think the atmosphere in Melbourne at the time of a grand final or a final season is just something that I don't think you could expect to see anywhere else in the world. The whole city seems to be swept up in it. Everybody seems to care about what's going to happen. One of the things I think about Fitzroy in particular is that we get the sort of roll-up we've had here today and again yesterday, because I believe there's a tremendous support for Fitzroy that somehow or other we haven't quite tapped in the past, and that's one of the things I'm going to be working on very hard myself, to tap that more general feeling of support for Fitzroy than I think we've been able to get before. Our move to Victoria Park this coming season, I think, might just be the catalyst that we need to show just how well supported we really are.
Now, what about a tip for this afternoon, Brian? We can't let you go without getting your selection.
I'd have to say Hawthorn. I think they're a very, very professional team. They don't have the ups and downs that Essendon seems to have had in the last season, and that's why I'd go for Fitzroy. There you go. I'll go for Fitzroy next year, but we'll say Hawthorn today.
Well, a Freudian slip, but good luck to Fitzroy in 1985, and good luck with the new position, Brian.
Thanks, Peter. Thank you.
So that was the situation here at the World Trade Centre this morning as the celebrations and preparations continue for the 1984 VFL Grand Final. And isn't it great to be in Melbourne on this very special one day in September? Cheers.
Thanks, Peter. One of the more pleasant tasks to be done this morning. We'll take a break now from the MCG and be back soon.